Hello everyone, I'm Disc147 and you are watching me talk about Lame's Jerk Shop. I'm just pulling your leg. Today I'm going to be looking at some design choices that I find very strange, and maybe we'll talk about the lore a little around a particular character. I might make this a ongoing thing where I look at models within the Warhammer 40k and Warhammer Fantasy universe and kind of how they fall on the spectrum of good to bad. Today, as opposed to what I would like to talk about, which is the new Sekhmet robots, I'm going to be talking about a model that I find pretty subpar, for a couple of reasons. Namely, one, Ursula Creed, who in the lore is the Lord Commander of the Imperium. Oh, no. I tell a fib. She is a Lord General of the Imperium. I'm not sure what sector she's in charge of. I'm sure I could Google it if it was in the lore, and we just want to look at this character and kind of break down what we're looking at exactly. Before we get into the form, what it actually looks like, I want to go back to a much earlier model. This here is Urscar E. Creed, or Ursarkar E. Creed. He was the Lord Castellan of Cadia while I was growing up. In 2003, this was the guy, these were the Cadians. This is when Games Workshop had more than 2 regiments as canonically part of the Imperial Guard line, as opposed to now, which it's just pretty much just Krieg, Catachans, and Cadians. And I want to quickly look at this art. Art's very on point with the model. This is pretty much exactly what you get. He's in the big old carapace armor. There's plates of Kevlar underneath this fabric. Apparently he also has some sort of refractor shield, which is more of a lore than anything. Sorry, a couple of memes there. But I want you to look at the form of this model. And canonically, this is the father of the character that we are going to be looking at. What we have here is a man who's named, references Ursus, which is a bear. The man looks like a bear. The man has, without going into lore, he has a ceremonial sword. He has red ribboning, which we'd associate with high-ranking military officials. He's armored up, he's camoed up. Here he is in more Cadian-looking colors. I think this is a much later piece of art. He's there with his trusting companion, Jaren Kell. That's right. I always thought Jaren Kell looked pretty cool. I thought he was a servitor the first time I saw him. But here we are. He's dressed up in his full armor. He's got his gold, what do you call that, brocade on. Wearing his overcoat. A bit of a mix of sort of Schwarzenegger and a little bit World War II German, shall we say. There's nothing inherently wrong with this model. He's got 2 pistols, so he can smoke with his. He doesn't have to swap his stogie hand when he's ready to draw. This is a low stub, I do believe. And now I want you to look over here at Ursula, who has a name that rhymes. Ursula is. It references. I want you to look at it. It references Urscar one by one. So you have a look here. I can split screen it for you guys, but for me, it references him. But there are some distinct issues with this model that this model does not have. Urscar, he is standing there on the battlements. I am a general. I'm not going to be in the line of fire. Or I will be in the line of fire, but I'm not expected to be. Ceremonial weapon at his side. There's one glaring flaw with this model, and I'm going to point it out shortly. Okay. Ursula here has a power sword. She doesn't seem. She must have a scabbard. Surely they have not given her a scabbard. She's wielding a scepter of office. It's probably some form of power mace. With 2 melee weapons or a rod. Is this meant to be? Maybe this is a chaplain. Maybe a reference to, I don't know. Alternate head sculpt. The incomplete World War II helmet seems to be sitting quite low on the skull. She can be operating some binoculars here. But without looking at the form. We have here Urscar Creed, feet planted on the ground, commanding, forms a square, or almost a pentagonal shape, a triangle support. This stance we know to be strong. Here, tactical rock, number 1. Unstable footing. So, I've entered the battlefield. This post, Cadia, part of some random metal scrapping. She seems to be... Is this strapped to her, or is she just standing underneath it? She can't afford to have a Jaren Kell. Yeah, this thing would be incredibly heavy. If that's marble and gold. She's just walking around with this behind her. She's like, Cadia's over here. Let's... You know what, I'm gonna just give me a moment here. You guys, my Ursula Creed. Is anything lost by removing the standee, the stop sign as it were? Was anything lost at all by me doing that? If I was going to kit bash this model, I probably wouldn't include the standee. It would just be Ursula here. Maybe with the time of office, I would, you know, that would probably be my suggestion. Because right now, the design is very cluttered and muddled. Let's have a look at the sprue here. You wouldn't have to put it in. A lot of this sprue is just the tactical rock and the battlefield damage, which I want to understand why my commander is stumbling through the ruins, but this is a game. We're not going to go too logical with it. But the number one thing for me, and I just want to point this out, this is the big thing for me. These guns are facing the wrong way. Ursula, wearing a single-piece chest plate. Urscar here has his weapons at ready. He can cross his body, so if he needs this pistol, he just reaches across his body, unclips it, fires. The pull to draw position is probably like 3 or 4 seconds. He has segmented armor, which allows him that manual rotation, even though this is not a true scale, quote-unquote, model. He's a bit squat. He's heroic scale. He could theoretically reach across his body. You'll see this often. What we have here is someone believing that Ursula is a cowboy. Now, I don't know about cowboys, but their weapons would be on the opposite side, and even they would have reverse draw. Ursula is unable to clear this weapon with this single body plate above her chest. She would not be able to draw this weapon upwards. It's the number one issue with this model. If she was in a firefight, you want to hope that these rotate or something, because this, what we're looking at here, is a dead person walking. There's been a lot of this as we've gotten further away from the historical backbone of Warhammer 40k and Warhammer. We've entered the world of tactical, and sometimes tactical requires you to think tactically. And I tell you what, having 2 weapons that I cannot draw, that are only here, really. She could have had a side weapon here. She also seems to be wearing a commissar's sash. I'm not sure what that's all about. There's a sash here. Well, it's more the brocade here as well. It's not so much... This very much reminds me of... this is Kane. Yep, that's definitely a Kane fan art. But you'll notice here's the commissarial sash. This indicates that they are a political officer of the Imperium. It's often used in the books to say, like, when I put on the sash, to mean... Oh, there's a bit of a Trump meme down there. Watch out. See, there's a commissar. He does not have his sash on. What is going on? What's going on here? Ceremonial sword plunged into rocks. See, here's the red sash. Wrath and Glory. I believe that's the RPG. Here's the old school commissar. It's a little bit spookier looking. Let's put it that way. Here we have the commissar. He has a white sash. Oh no, that's a Lord Commissar. So different again. Here we go. Sash. So the sash, most often it's described as red in the lore, is a strong side of a commissar, which is confusing here on Ursula, because even though it is a common element between it and Urscar to a degree, they actually fulfill different roles. He's a Castellan, still part of the military, and it's not very clear that he's wearing that sash. Let's have a look in the art. Yeah, The sash is extremely understated here. I think it's more brocade. They might have just put it in to link it to those models visually. But they seem to have just taken elements from Urskar Wholesale and applied it to this character because they are related, and not really understood the design cues. Because the physical modelers that made up the core of Games Workshop come from a historical background. The Perrys, for example, are avid military reenactors, but mostly of the medieval period, but I don't know, Napoleonic as well. One of the Perrys lost his arm in a Napoleonic's accident with a cannon. So they're die-hard people. I think Filmdeg has some videos where they talk about like how anal retentive the Perrys could be about historical accuracy in a fantasy setting, which is quite funny. So what we have here with Ursula is the inability to draw a weapon. This single piece breastplate as well would be extremely restrictive on her movement. The breastplate is also... Okay, so what we have here on Urskar is modern-ish flak armor, which is designed to distribute force along a ceramic plate. It's to stop bullets from entering your body. What we have here is a more traditional breastplate style. The metallics are making that more clear. It would be reflective at night, making her a much clearer target. She is not dressed like standard infantry. She would stick out like sore thumbs. More in line with the medieval or the Renaissance kind of era breastplate, which is not meant to be worn form-fit to the chest. There's actually meant to be an expansion between it and your chest, which is why it forms an exaggerated breast shape on a knight. I'll show you actually. Because what they realized is, it's hard using Brave sometimes, guys. Okay, so you see how there's this strong conical shape on many of these breastplates, and they're quite rounded. Even here, they're quite far from the body. That's a cuirass, similar-ish. That one it doesn't look actually historical. It could be, but you see how it's quite a distended shape here. This is to put as much padding behind the breastplate as possible. Same here, barrel outwards. I believe that's a replica. That's even here. You see where he's wearing on his body. The densest part of the breastplate is here on the top. Here, there's as much air as possible between him and his heart, because that's one way to die very quickly. Even here, the collars and cuirasses, they're all outwardly facing. This here is a modern interpretation. I'm jabbering a bit here, but if we go back to Urskar, it's form-fitting. It's actually over a part of the body that is already very well protected, relatively. That is why your ribs form where they are. But if I want to kill Urskar, all I have to do is get her in this little effective little catch area here. If she's not wearing several inches of ceramic plate, shoot her through the middle, or in close combat, stab her with a chainsword right in this area, and she is going down immediately. The boots aren't armored. Probably should be a little interesting detail, but maybe the square thing is meant to indicate a steel capped or something. Alright, let's move on to the helmet. There's a actual Cadian helmet. We'll have a quick look at that. I do like, let's look at the thing. I do like the detail that the leather of the armor has been damaged, maybe to indicate that this is her father's armor, and the uniform beneath is kind of, she's taken wounds in battle before. All of this extra scrap is kind of annoying, because if I want to play this model on like a jungle world, I'll be like, it looks like orcs designed this sort of thing, and this is a very Lord of the Rings sort of base. 1, 2, 3 curses high. Urskar herself is only 11-ish, maybe curses, so that's a quarter of that model is the rock she is standing on, and another maybe 4 curses high. The little Cadian catch cry. That is actually extremely distracting. I do not like that at all. It's just pulling the eye away from the model. Fucking disgusting. The helmet is quite strange. I would want my neck much better protected than this. There's not a whole lot more to say. I imagine that, like Urskar, she has implied to have a repulsor field that surrounds her, which acts as a barrier for energy weapons, but Really, what we're looking at here is an underbaked model that is referential. Oh no, it's Lord Castellan as well. How can you be a Castellan without a fucking castle? Katie is gone. Get over it. In terms of like, we're gonna talk more clearly about the business side of this move and the lore side of it and the storytelling side of it. We'll have a quick buzz through the wiki. It's not the best source. She is a forbidding and implacable strategist and a symbol of the enduring indomitability of Cadia's armies, even in the wake of the... Oh, that's a very run-on sentence. What is her history? Oh, nothing. Nothing. Okay, let's go over to Urskar. I got a whole fucking section. Is her father's daughter, hardened general of the Astra Militarium, physically imposing. This is also an... like... There's a limit to what you can do in a scale model's face at 28mm. The eyes are too far apart, for one. They're too outwardly facing, and maybe that's a limitation of the sculpting medium, whatever they're using. I get Trunchbull, if you guys seen that. Here we go, this is the OG Trunchbull. This actress, they've kind of uglied her up quite a bit in Matilda, but this is what kind of the face I'm getting. It's that over jowliness, the exaggeration of the jowl. Pam Ferris is not an unattractive woman. It's just the makeup that they choose to put on her, and the hair, having that hair pulled back, really exaggerates how your face looks. It's where that Scandinavian meme comes from, or the barista guy with his hair pulled back, because having a thin, maybe not thin, having a very bony, protruding face really sells it. If you have a soft featured face with a bit of extra mass, let's not beat around the bush. It reveals the worst qualities of the face. Now, I can actually do some mild genetic analysis here, but if we look at the genetic facial features of Urskar Creed versus Ursula, we can actually determine that he is most likely not the father of this particular individual. One, strong jaws, sunken jowls, pointed chin, the downward slope of the face, large squat nose. The widow's peak here is not formed into a V, it is square, which means he does probably not carry the genetic mutation that indicates that you have a widow's peak. Urskar here, we're pretty close in the art as well. Square hairline, strong brow, strong nose, strong cheek, strong jowl formation, strong chin, wide jaw, large ears. We look at Ursula, what do we have? We have a downward sloping brow that comes to a point in a V shape. We have a strong widow's peak. This could be tailored or trimmed. This hairline could be trimmed. The eyes share none of the same shape. The nose is probably the closest resemblance. Here, this is a different jowl shape, different chin shape, different jaw shape. Now that, for me, I know this is a bit of a strange thought exercise, but bear with me. Knowing that most babies and children take more after their father than their mother, this is a evolutionary survival tactic of our species. Our babies look more like their fathers than their mothers. And they're more closely genetically related to their father than their mother. So you're more closely genetically related to your father than your mother. That's how the chromosomes shake out. Means that Ursula here is most likely not a Creed. And if the thing is, I know that every single one of Urskar's like facial features are strongly dominant. Because I look like my great-great-great-grandfather, and I have those fucking cheeks. I have a very hard, bony face. Like, even though I'm a real mixed unit, that's a strong, repeated dominant gene. So Ursula here, she looks more like a cousin or a distant relative than a direct descendant. Now, to go into the kind of like law-making side of it, it's very stupid. I think she's meant to be the daughter of an imperial courtesan that Creed just happened to I like the age in the face as well. Like she's been through some shit. That's pretty cool. They look at this art is more in line with what I would expect. But obviously you can't represent the model. There are some differences here. But she does not look as strongly related to Creed as perhaps she should. They could have even gone with a much younger character. You could have gone the TNA route, which is tits and ass. To kind of pull in your majority masculine audience into like, oh, I have the hot Ursula Creed model. But that's neither here nor there. The thing for me is like, it has to rhyme. 40k can't be as fresh or innovating as perhaps it once was in the modern day and age. It has to be referential. It can't be like, you couldn't have called it like Jane, random 40k name, get a bit of Greek reference in there, because Ursula is the bear, Urskar is perhaps the father bear, so slightly different routes, and called it like Arctoria or Arcate or something. Callisto, that's the one I'm looking for. You could have called it Callisto, or Callistus, something like that. Callisto, you know, or could have spelt it with a K, like Creed, like Callisto Creed, and maybe not had a fucking like single letter name, like because he was Urska E. Creed. We have to have Ursula J. Creed. It can't just be like we need the alliteration. It's got to be Ursa and Urskar. Ursula and Ursakar, and it's got to have the fucking single letter. We can't have anything fresh. They have to have the same role, because she could have just been Lord General instead of Lord Castellan, or they could have given her like a naval rank, even like Admiral Urskar Creed, and she's been like brevet ranked, coerced, or like dropped into the Imperial military. But yeah, it's not a great model. Anyway. That's all I have to say about this. I apologize about the structure. I'll probably write the next video out, and that will be about the Thousand Suns, but we'll go from there when we get there. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Okay, bye.